Hey everyone, and welcome to the webinar. I'm just going to give us a couple more minutes and see if we get a few more people join us today. If you have not used Zoom before, then the way that this is going to work is down the bottom. There's a Q&A, so you can go in and type some questions, and I will go over to that at the end, and I can go through any questions that you have. I am going to do a PowerPoint presentation as we go along, so there's lots of information there for you. If you are watching on the replay, fantastic. Thank you for joining us. If you're watching us live, of course, thank you very much for joining us. And if you have questions afterwards, if you've gone back to watch the replay, or this is you watching it on the replay, you can send those through to info@caninehealthacademy.com if you have any questions. But while you're on live, if you have any questions, you can pop them into the Q&A and I'll come and answer all of those at the end. So the webinar today is on helping you to kickstart your career as a canine therapist. So I teach canine programs in remedial massage and hydrotherapy, and our courses are currently open for enrolment, closing next week on the 14th of March, and these courses officially close on the 16th. So some of you will already be enrolled. I know people who are already enrolled like to watch this webinar, so welcome to you guys. We're 3/4 full. We're almost there. You've got about a week or so still to make a decision and make sure that you can come along and join us. So the purpose of today is really to explain what goes on in the programs and help you work out if it's right for you. If you've watched some of the Facebook Lives or any of the Facebook Lives, I'm going to go over a little bit of that content again, which is really talking about how you decide if it's right for you and then what you can do with that information. So I'm going to pop over now and just share my screen and we'll get started. So just move my little icon of myself. So you know you're in the right place if you're here, really, if you love dogs and people. And I know it sounds common sense and straightforward, but most of us are dog lovers if we're thinking about a career working with dogs, but you do have to love people as well. They go together. We treat them as a unit, so we can't treat the dog without helping support the owner, and it's really important, but there's a double reward that happens from that. So when you help a dog and you empower an owner to help their own dog, then the rewards are, are twofold. It's fantastic. So depending on the area that you work in, if you worked in a shelter, you might then just be treating the dog, but as you hand them over to a new owner in their forever home, then you would support those guys through their journey. But for the most part, we have owners come in that are distressed, don't know what to do, or if their dog is in reasonable health or older, but they just want to maximize their longevity and quality of life, we're really supporting the owner to do that. So you need to love both dogs and people. Otherwise, it's going to be harder for you to have a successful career. Of course, you'd love to spend all day working with dogs. For me, it's not a job, it's an absolute dream for me. 17 years now doing this, there's not a day that I don't want to go to work and spend time with dogs. As soon as I see a dog, out on the street or in the clinic, then it lights me up. So we get to have that on a day-to-day basis, and it's not a job at all. Then you really need to have a strong desire to help more dogs live long, happy, healthy lives. We're not doing it just for an income. We're wanting to be able to help and make a difference, and you would love to know really if this is a career choice for you. So in this webinar, then I'm going to show you how to kickstart your career as a canine therapist. By the end of our time together, you will have learned, is this the right career for you? How you can choose the best course for you, which one will suit your needs. Do you do one? Do you do the other? Do you do both? And we have several of our students have gone through and completed one and going into the next program, so that's definitely an option. And why now is the time to start? The course module framework, so I'll do a breakdown of both the programs and you can see what gets covered, and then really how to ensure your long-term success in the career, because that's super important. We don't want to choose a program and complete it and then not be a successful practitioner. So the training isn't for you if you want a quick fix, if you want to do a quick online course and finish it and you're over and done with. that's not for you. This is a reasonably in-depth program. The theory takes about 8 months, and then on top of that, you've got you need to complete logbooks and you need to attend a workshop. So it's not a small course. It's not a small undertaking. We want to make sure that you come out with a high level of qualification. It's really important. So also, if you already have an established canine hydrotherapy or canine remedial massage business, then the training's not for you. You're already doing those things, unless, however, you're wanting to swap over to one or the other or get additional training. And really, if you're not prepared to put in effort, it's not I'll just take information on board. You have to actually put in effort. There's some elements of the course that are going to require you to do a reasonable amount of work. And that's important because we want to look after these guys to the best of our ability. Our dogs need us, and all the dogs out there need us to be doing great work. So the two programs that I'm talking about, Certificate in Canine Remedial Massage and the Certificate in Canine Hydrotherapy from the Canine Health and Wellbeing Academy, these start with an introductory webinar Monday week. So Monday, March the 16th, we start. All the lectures are recorded, so if you can't attend live, it doesn't matter, that's okay. Enrollment for this round of courses closes March the 14th. So you still, if you're watching live, you've still got about a week before we're going to close the doors for enrollment. So I wanted to give you a little bit of a background on me. Some of you may have already met me or seen me in socials before, but really about my story and how I came to be here. So, and still being here this many years down the track, I am super passionate about providing dogs, so as many dogs as possible, with access to quality rehabilitation services. It's really important. I started as a human physio, and then I've gone along into this journey. I've had this Dogs in Motion canine rehab clinic for about 17, coming up to 18 years, and recently the Canine Health and Wellbeing Academy, and I'll talk to you a little bit more about that. So I started as a human physio because I wanted to help people. I thought it was a great career, and it was. I loved it, but something was missing. I was unfulfilled. It wasn't my dream job. It wasn't what I thought it was going to be. And like a lot of us in work, we work for the weekend. So we're just getting our way through Monday to Friday, and we're waiting for the weekend for it to be done. Sunday evening, we're preparing, we have to go off for work. So that was my job as a human physio. I enjoyed it, but it was a job, and I wasn't completely fulfilled. But then we got our first dog, Toby. So my husband and I, Greg, we got our first dog, Toby, our first Hungarian Vizsla, and we took him to training at this picture in the middle where the pool is, that was called Award Canine. So our dog trainer owned that facility with the dog swimming pool. It's his sign. You might not be able to see it all the way up the back with the little dog on the yellow. So he had a dog training facility, an indoor heated pool. And on the wall, he had a sign for an animal physiotherapist. I had actually never heard of animal physiotherapy before. And I went and did some Googling and had a look and saw that it was actually a really established industry in the USA and the UK and Europe. And in Australia, we were really lagging behind, and that was disappointing. But next week in our Australian Physiotherapy Journal, there was an advertisement for a course that I could go along and complete, and this was from a well-known animal physiotherapist in Canada. So I flew up to Sydney and did that course. It was a 4-day intensive, and then I went back home and talked to my regular vet and talked to them about could we start to incorporate some of these physio principles into their clinic, and that's sort of where it all started. Then when we were taking our dog to training, Mark, our dog trainer, he put the business up for sale, and really it was a short decision for Greg and I. Greg sold his company that he had, and we started working in Award Canine it was, and we called it Dogs in Motion Canine Rehabilitation. So we rebranded it, and then we installed the first underwater treadmill for dogs in Australia, and went on from there. And so in the early stages, there was lots of instances of trying to convince vets that rehab was important. They were sending a lot of dogs for swimming, but they weren't sending them for anything else. So I was using my body therapy skills. I have a postgrad in myofascial trigger point therapy, so I do a lot of body work on dogs, and I had a big level of experience in hydrotherapy in humans. That was a large part of my job, and we incorporated the hydrotherapy and the body work into the treatment of all of these animals. And these two doggies in particular, early in my career, you can see I've got dark long hair there. This Doberman Nikki, she had run into a pole and prolapsed a disc in her neck, so had a bulge of her disc in her neck that had stopped her from walking, so none of her legs would work. And she stayed at home for 4 weeks with her owners. They'd done a special surgery, to fix that up for her, decompression, and she was just lying on her side and she couldn't move. And her owners came across us online to do swimming. And fortunately, with the rehab skills that I had then, we spent 6 months rehabbing her. So the vets had said she'll never walk again. She did swimming, underwater treadmill, and a lot of body work, and we got her back to being able to go for 5-kilometre run with her owners. So this was a learning experience for me. I had not rehabilitated a dog like that before, and what we got out the end was extraordinary. And this was just the start. We started to see this again and again. Older dogs that couldn't move very well, we would treat their bodies, put them in the water, and we would just get them moving so much better and living for longer, owners happier. The other little guy is this little Rooney's. This is a little girl, Daxon, and she was in one of the clinics I was working in that she had a disc prolapse and her back legs weren't working and she was incontinent, and her owners elected to put her to sleep because they couldn't manage her, which is fine, no judgment if they couldn't manage her. But we had asked them if they would hand over her care or ownership to us, and we took her on board and we rehabilitated her, and she took about 5 months to walk. And same thing again, this experience of, we just did re-education of her legs in the underwater treadmill. The experience of doing that really showed me that these services are so needed and there's such a lack of them out there, and I can't treat them all, hence why I want to be able to train more people to be able to help guys like this. Like, these are 2 little dogs, but they really changed my life. And so years down the track, the industry has changed hugely. There's more and more facilities available and more people that are willing to do this for their dog. However, there's still really a lack of access to rehab facilities. So there's we're turning away people all the time. We don't have enough appointments for them. We're in Melbourne here, so there are several clinics around, but there's still really a lack of access for people. And vets are not taught rehabilitation. They've got a massive job, so many things they have to cover, and rehab is not one of them. So A, they're either not recommending it, or B, they might not be thinking that it's going to work, or they might suggest to the owners that wouldn't work because they don't actually know, they don't have any experience. And then there's a lack of education available for them, even if they want to get education, or a lack of education in hydrotherapy or body work, rehab. In Australia, that has been a big problem. So as a consequence, many dogs suffer and die because then the vets are doing everything they can, and then there's a stop point that they just can't do anymore. So for me, really, I heard this so much when I started, like, why would you buy a business like that? Why would you do it? You're never going to make a successful career out of it, and yet here we are. And why is that? Because I was never going to give up. I was determined to help these dogs. They don't have a voice. The owners are desperate to do whatever they can. And I knew I'd done plenty of hard things in the past. I was just going to lean into it. I did not go in with it 100% confidence. I didn't have a mentor. I didn't have a tribe of people to support me, but I had a really strong desire to grow this industry and make sure that dogs were having access to quality services. And right from the get-go, I spent a lot of time educating vets and owners. I would drive around the countryside, educating them about the importance of rehab. And we have really seen the industry grow, which is fantastic, but we still need more services. And this is one of the things my dad definitely taught me. Is like, don't just follow the path that everyone else is doing, blaze a trail. And I was determined to do that, to be able to set the standard for quality rehabilitation services in Australia, really, really important, you know, and then throughout the world, to make sure that we're delivering at a level that's going to be, you know, far superior to anyone else. And still, I'm absolutely determined to do that and would love to support you to do the same. So I expanded my clinical business from the start, Dogs in Motion Canine Rehabilitation, and we had several centres around Melbourne, with the largest canine rehab business in Australia. So, you know, lots of thousands and thousands, like hundreds of thousands of dogs have gone through our clinics, indoor heated pool, underwater treadmill, rehab services, body work. And we've been able to help hugely the number of dogs out there, educate their owners, continue to educate vets and nurses in Australia and internationally, and you know, that's really helped to grow the industry. I started teaching short courses. We started this centre in 2002. I started teaching short courses in 2003 and really have continued to do that. And in 2017, you know, we made it a more formal experience. So we started the Canine Health and Wellbeing Academy so that people can actually get a certification that's recognised out there in the industry. But we still absolutely need more help. We need more services available. So I'm going to talk a bit now about why programs in massage and hydrotherapy specifically, so help you work out where you might want to sit yourself in which program. So I have treated, you know, tens and tens of thousands of dogs, and I really feel strongly that body treatment is paramount for all of them. They all have aches and pains. They all have compensatory postures, you know, whether they're young and active and over-exercising at times, or whether they've had challenges from a surgery or arthritis, or, you know, they jump on and off the bed. Their bodies are all going to benefit from having some body work, the same as us. There's a whole bunch of different benefits in there, really wide reaching for both the dog and the human, because I always teach the owner to do some massage at home. So a lot of benefits happen for both the human and the dog when that happens. Hydrotherapy, this strengthens and speeds recovery faster than any other way. So if a dog's rehabilitating from an injury or surgery, compared to swimming, compared to land-based exercise, is far, you know, it's far superior. Really, we see speeded rehabilitation. It's the best way that we can get these dogs back as soon as possible. And for spinal injuries, you know, for a lot of dogs, then it's our only way that we can get these dogs to re-educate their limb movement effectively. So we go in and we actually re-educate their limb movement. So that's far superior for that. So these are just a couple of my guys. This is Gemma. Lovely Gemma has since passed away. We were able to lengthen her life through hydrotherapy and body treatment. She had a congenital spinal issue. So could think about, like in humans, like a spina bifida. So her back legs never worked well. Her owner took her on as a rescue. Absolutely gorgeous lady, would do anything for these dogs. And hydrotherapy and body treatment were two of the treatments that really lengthened Gemma's life. She was a patient of mine for about 4 years, over a long period of time, where the vets at the specialist centre had said, we don't have anything else to offer. She's going to deteriorate rapidly. So make a massive difference to her life. And Sephi's still a client of mine, a regular client of ours. You know, a VIP, we would say, so a really dedicated owner. We have a ton of these now. She has hydro a couple of times a week and body work with me once a week, like ongoing. So there's people out there that are wanting to have these services for their dogs. She has multi-joint arthritis, surgeries in multiple limbs. She's a giant breed dog, Bernese Mountain Dog. So she's fantastic. If she's had a bit of a something where she can't go into the water, or she misses her body work for whatever reason, then the owners really notice a difference. So, we're not selling these services. The owners are seeing the difference in the dog. The proof is in the pudding, if you like. So she's a golden girl that we're able to just keep moving really, really well into her later years. Jack is another one. He had elbow dysplasia as a young dog. I saw him then for rehab, and then he was hit by a truck and he had multiple joint surgeries. Lots of nastiness happened to this guy's legs, but his mum keeps bringing him for body work with me. So he's a regular massage patient of mine. every 3 weeks. As he continues to get older, we can keep him in good stead. And same thing, his owner notices if that can't happen for whatever reason, she goes on leave, or I go on leave, then Jack really suffers as a result of that. So we know then we're keeping these dogs alive for longer through our body work that we're doing. Little Bessie, so she had a complex total hip replacement on one side, some complications with the surgery in there, and the owner, because of that and the difficulty, her owner is really determined to try to delay doing a surgery on the other side. She has hip dysplasia on the other side as well. So the owner travels a long distance to come and have many hours to come and have hydrotherapy and body work with her. And 3 years out, she's still doing fantastically without needing her other hip replaced. So at some point she may, but we have these therapies here that can help these dogs live really longer, comfortable lives, sometimes avoiding surgery. And we're not trying to replace surgery, but we're trying to have the dog be as comfortable, as strong as possible, and have the owner feeling they're doing whatever they can when they have a desire to be able to help. So it'd be fantastic if Bessie's mum didn't have to travel 3 hours each direction to come and see us. So someone setting up those therapies near her house would be fantastic. Little Dexy, he was definitely, we saved this dog's life. So I remember he had an intervertebral disc bulge and his back legs weren't working, and he had a decompressive surgery. And I remember his owners ringing and saying, please, can you see him? We're desperate. The vets have said this is it. We need to euthanize Dexter. You're going to tell us today whether we keep him or not. That was a big load of pressure for us, but for me. But assessing his little body and seeing that there was some tone or some ability to extend his hind limbs, after seeing thousands before him, I was able to say, yeah, I think there's a chance. So really good owners again came in intensively for hydrotherapy, that re-education. So it's just turning the legs over, re-educating, walking. We got Dexter back to, he's a superstar now, normal life, runs around with his other sausage made at home, in and out the dog door, normal walking life. We saved his life. So without those services, and specifically hydro for him, then Dexter wouldn't still be here. He's a little superstar. And Momo from Pug Rescue, if people have seen, there's a lot of Momo out on the socials. You might have seen Momo out there. Little Momo had polyradiculoneuritis or coonhound paralysis. So the Pug Rescue do a fantastic job in supporting all their pugs and getting them to the peak that they can get them. And little Momo was no different. Came in and had regular hydrotherapy while the body recovers, and got him strong enough to go back to regular normal life and to be able to be rehomed then. So how do you choose which course is right for you? Go through a few bits and pieces here. It can be confusing. So this is not just talking about between hydro and massage. This is now talking about any other courses that are out and about. There's a lot of access to online programs throughout the world now. Online education or digital education is really beneficial. We can do stuff from home, but in Australia, there is the lack of regulation around the pet industry and who can do what treatments and who can deliver what courses. So there's people out there delivering courses that don't have adequate qualifications. They might have done someone's course in hydrotherapy and then go and deliver a course in hydrotherapy themselves, but are not trained at that level of a physiotherapist or a hydrotherapist, or a vet that's then done a rehab course. So we need to have people at those top levels that are trained in either vet and veterinary rehab or masters in animal physio that have 8 years of university training that are conducting these programs. I think that that's super important. And what happens then when there's people out there delivering services that are less than adequate or not high quality is the whole industry gets a bad name. So if there's someone with not a great qualification and they're speaking to a vet, or they're not speaking to a vet, they're not communicating with the vet doesn't know what they're doing. We absolutely have to work as part of a team. I'm very, very strong about that and reinforce that. You must operate on veterinary referral, talk to the vets, We need all of us working together. We don't want the industry to get a bad reputation by people just willy-nilly doing stuff that they're not qualified to do or not within their scope of practice. And what happens then also is there's a poor service to animals. So not only are people doing what they shouldn't, but they're not actually helping the animals, or they're giving owners diagnoses that are not correct, and leading them down the garden path. So we don't want that at all. So the chosen course that you do, it should be an accredited one. So accredited qualification with minimum standards. So this means that we know that the people that have passed this course are going to be operating at a standard of a minimum that's still a high standard. They're going to be delivering a great level of service. It enables you to practice with insurance. I know definitely for a fact there's a reasonable number of practitioners out there, excuse me, that are not insured. So if they are not insured, to me, then they're not bothered to even go and do that. They don't care enough about the delivery of their service and what they're actually doing. So we want an accredited program. We want to make sure that they're insured, and you can definitely ask any practitioner that's treating your dog if they're insured. If you're doing a course online, that's great. Might be okay if you're doing it to treat your own dog, but if you were going to then deliver hydrotherapy or massage and you didn't have any face-to-face practical training, I can't see how you could get those skills unless you did face-to-face. So it needs to have a practical component. And without this is like me starting at the start. I was a physiotherapist and I had to just work through, problem solve. Things didn't go so well. I had to try something else. Having a tribe of people that can support you and give information we have this in our closed community, in our private Facebook groups, and a mentor for education, so I can fast track you through there. I can give you an answer and say, well, out of 20,000 dogs with total hip replacement, that shouldn't be responding like that. So that's the benefit of where I am now, with thousands and thousands of dogs come through, that then I can fast track and help lead you down the right path, so that your career, once you start, it can go faster, so you can get where you want to go, but also that we can help more dogs. So why start now? Then there's so many dogs going without. Definitely there's not enough practitioners. I think I've already said that. But also dogs are now VIPs or VIDs. So what owners are wanting to do for dogs, I've watched this change over the years so much. What owners are wanting to do for dogs is, they're an important part of the family. They will do anything now, and we're not over servicing them. These dogs need this type of therapy the same as we would if we had a chronic health issue, or if we needed to rehabilitate from a big injury or surgery. So owners are wanting to do these things now. They're seeing it on social media. They're seeing their friend's dog. Someone down the park is telling them, did you not know there was rehab? Can you try this harness? So we need to be able to offer these other services. The vets have really come along in their technology and the treatments that they're able to offer. So, we can get MRI relatively easily and much cheaper than what it was a few years ago. There's more places with that. The surgeries that they can do for complex cases where they might have removed a leg, but now they can repair it. We have really great specialists in the country. So the dogs are getting those treatments, and then the aftercare is not there, and it's really lacking. There's a massive gap in the service, and the dogs absolutely need us to be able to help them, need you to be able to help them. So the time is always right for them. If they have the injury or surgery, out of their hands. But you have to ask yourself, when will it be right for you? Like, are you holding yourself back? Are you fearful that you wouldn't be able to do it? And, what excuses are you putting out there to say why you wouldn't do it? Are you in your dream job? Are you doing what you love every day? We need to take some action, or we just stay fixed where we are. So I'd like you to think about, how could your life be different a year from now if you completed your certification and you were out there helping animals? Like, what would it be like for you to come home and from a day at work and know that, you'd made a big difference to dogs, but also it doesn't feel like a day of work? How many dogs and people's lives could you change? So before you plan where you're heading. It's really good for you to know and to think about where you are now. And I don't think a lot of us take time to really think about that. We might, wake up and think, oh, I don't want to go to work today, or, it could be better. But thinking about where we are now and then where we would like to be in the future and over what sort of time frame we'd like to do that. So this is, some of the areas where people are coming into our programs where they find themselves. So this is just where do you think you are now? So for many people, they think that working with dogs is not possible. They'd love to have it as a dream job, but they just don't think they'd ever be able to do it. They think, I need to go to vet school, don't have to, I'm never going to do that. Or, how do I transition over? How would I ever get a job? I don't want to start my own business. So we'll talk to you a bit about that. They think, they don't even know where to start, and that, it's out of their reach. And there's quite a number of people that come through the programs that are already working with dogs. So, sometimes vet nurses or dog groomers or trainers, and they're happy, but they're unsatisfied. There's something else they want to do, or they might be, working 9 to 5 and would prefer to have more flexibility. So, these group of people are sort of another level. And then there are people out there that are working with dogs and they're completely happy. So they might not come through our programs, or they might come through and do one of the courses if they've already done the other one. So they're living a great life, they're satisfied and content, and they're working alongside dogs all day. And then there's the people that just have this fantastic life. They're the most awesome version of themselves. They're working with a tribe of like-minded people, and they're living on purpose. They're wanting to make an impact, and they're driven every single day to do that. So I'd like you to just think about where you are now. And these slides with the iceberg is to give you a bit of a, it helps you see my thinking. And if you come through any of my programs, you always hear when I teach, how passionate I am. I don't have to explain that. People can see that. So there's levels here. When we look at the courses, and it's sort of like an iceberg, of course, I teach courses. We see that part. That's the part of the iceberg that's, up above the water. I teach courses. I teach certificate programs. If you come to the Academy webpage, then you can see there's programs there. Fantastic. But it's definitely more than that. So I have a really strong desire and ensure that all the students get a great education, that they can move up a career path or start their own business if they want to. So I'm dedicated to making sure they get outstanding results. But it's really more than that. It's about the transformation, that we can take people, down a journey of working to be their ideal self in the job that they love, living on purpose, blaze a trail, make an impact, really, make a difference to these dogs' lives. That's really important. And, anyone that wants to come along on that journey, more than happy to take people down there, not just, getting a certification. So, time for thinking again, who's up for the journey? Are you going to make that transition through? Do you have what it takes? I'm happy to help you. So I'm just going to go a little bit now talking about the program. So there's a bit of a framework that I use to guide study and treatment for animals, and it's got these 7 steps inside. So anatomy is really important. I think you really need to have a clear understanding of anatomy in order to assess and treat effectively. So in some other programs that I've looked at, then the anatomy is not in enough detail. So particularly if you were doing body work, you can't just learn the superficial muscles. You need to know what's happening from a depth point of view. And if you treat superficial muscles on a dog's neck, how that affects the deeper muscles. So the anatomy section is really in depth, but there's people that have come through the programs, no veterinary background, might not have finished high school, might not have studied, for 30 years, completely fine. They all get through it. I help you. I teach in concepts. You don't have to rote learn stuff. Anatomy is built layers upon layers. Concepts, we go on to practical, build muscles on plastic skeleton models in our workshops, so that you get a good understanding of anatomy, all the different body systems, from the skeleton to the joints, the muscles and the nervous system. So I love my anatomy, because it's super important that you understand that well. And then you need to know the pathologies that dogs commonly present to us for body work and for hydrotherapy. So we go through different pathologies for different body parts: front limb, hind limb, neurological, orthopedic, surgical and non-surgical, so different components. And then in assessment, the assessment module is another one that's really important, that you can't perform an effective treatment if you have not done a thorough assessment. And there's a lot of detail in here, and you have a lot of practice at presenting cases back. So part of this comes through a live teleconference where you have to perform an assessment, write out your assessment and treatment and present it to the rest of the group. You do that in the workshop as well. And this is to make sure that you get your assessment down pat, but also in how you communicate to vets, because that's important. We're trying to grow these networks. We need to work together. We can't do what they can do. They can't do what we can do. We need to complement one another. So the assessment is important so that you have an understanding what's going on with the dog, but then also you can communicate that with the vet as well. And then we teach you, of course, treatment techniques. So different massage and hydrotherapy techniques. And there's some done for you homework sheets that you can hand out to owners. So all my massage clients would get homework for them to massage their dog. Hydrotherapy is different. We might give them some other instructions. Not many people have underwater treadmill at home for hydro homework, but they might have, if they had a little wee dog and it had some neuro issues, they might be doing some stuff in a small pool or a bath, or they might be going into the sea. So we can certainly give them instructions, and there's sort of done for you tips to do that. Treatment protocols to follow when you're starting out. So when you start, it'll be the same for a doctor that starts, a nutritionist that starts, a vet nurse that starts, any of us starting a job like that in healthcare. Then there's protocols for you to follow, to default to, and then as you see more cases, then you can help work out, oh, that shouldn't normally respond like that, instead of just following the protocol. But when you start, there's protocols for you to follow, so guidelines, so you know what to do. So if you had a patient come to you with a foot surgery for hydrotherapy, then we have this protocol to follow. Or if you have a dog come to you with anxiety for massage, then there's a protocol that you can follow. And as you become more experienced, then you can develop your own treatment plans. And we discuss patients as well in a private community, so people can post dogs into our Facebook community, little videos or images, and we can discuss those cases to try and help give feedback and fast track treatment for dogs. Number 6 then is business and marketing. So I can talk to you, or I do talk to you about setting up your business if you choose to have your own business, or if you were marketing to vets or marketing yourself to a vet, if you're wanting to work within their clinic, and templates, scripts for communication, marketing, web copies, stuff that you can use to help you fast track it if that's not your forte, or if you found that that wasn't a strength of yours. If you finished your course and you couldn't make the next step, how am I going to start my business? Absolutely, I can support you to do that, because it's important to do that next step and get out and get going. We have a mixture of graduates that are working in clinic and have started their own business, and I'm going to show you a few of those as we go further along. And you need to have a mentor and a tribe. I can't reiterate this enough. A place where you can share information, and I watch the students in there giving one another advice, people that have already graduated and are out practicing, which is fantastic. So it's a closed community, it's completely private. Cases can be shared. And also, of course, we have a Q&A that happens as part of the course. So, this ensures your long-term success. You're not just finished and then it's over and done with. So this is straight off the Canine Health Academy website. So these are just the modules. It's just so it's all in one. You don't have to go back and revisit that. But the modules that are included in hydrotherapy course, introduction to hydro for the canine patient, the physical properties of water. So we understand what happens to a body when it's immersed in water. So we don't just do the same exercises on land and do the same things in the water. There's things that happen when we immerse a body into water. So you need to understand those physical properties, so you know the impact on the dog from the buoyancy point of view rotation, from the stickiness of the water, all sorts of different things that make an impact. Principles of canine hydrotherapy, we discussed swimming and underwater treadmill. In Australia, underwater treadmill is primarily used over in-pool hydrotherapy, where the therapist and the dog get into the pool. There's a few of those around, but that's a more UK model. The evidence and the literature suggests that the underwater treadmill therapy is superior. And, in Australia, we're really evidence-based for our physiotherapists. So that gives us the best outcome. So that is what's primarily done. But we also talk about swimming. Some of the people come through the course already have hydrotherapy centres and, swimming pools. So we can definitely incorporate that and tailor it. Skeletal anatomy, arthrology, which is the joints, the muscular and the nervous systems, common pathologies requiring hydrotherapy, canine hydrotherapy for health and fitness, for rehabilitation, assessment already talked about before, development of and progression of treatment plans, so it helps you work out what you're going to do next, ensuring safe work in the canine hydrotherapy environment and equipment to be used, how you're going to deliver it, different techniques for delivering hydrotherapy, the water chemistry to make sure that we're maintaining adequate standards, how to work as part of a multidisciplinary team, and business development and hydrotherapy facility design. So these are the same for both courses. That the online lecture content you have lifetime access to, that rolls out on March the 16th. So if you've already enrolled or you're enrolled now, none of those are released yet. It's just they'll all be released on March the 16th. There's monthly live Q&As, so anything that you can't attend any of those, I encourage people to attend live where they can, but they're recorded and they go into our online portal. You have access into the Facebook community. There for hydrotherapy, there's a 4-day intensive workshop, October 7th to the 10th. So I've changed that every year. I change it up depending on feedback we get. We have different people come through every year, so the cohorts change, and I learn new things about how to best deliver to make sure that people are getting adequate training. So I'm going to do more testing now on the 4th day of this workshop. And there's a single day virtual teleconference. I just haven't got the date finalised, but it's in November. So this is where we all come on to a virtual teleconference. So like this, we come into Zoom. You have to attend for the whole day. That's expected. And you listen to each student present their case, and we talk about we give feedback, but we also talk about it's a fantastic learning experience. We just ran those for one of our other intakes a couple of weeks ago, and the level was fantastic. I was so proud of all those students, and a great learning exercise. So everyone really enjoyed that, and they're all recorded and go into the portal as well. So you have access to that forever. And then you have to submit some case studies. So you need to go into a hydrotherapy facility. We help you work out, where and how that may be, and so that you can go through and watch cases. Generally, it is with a therapist, and complete your case studies. So this is outside of the workshop time. The massage module, so introduction to massage for the canine patient. It has its same, anatomy, joints, muscle and nervous system as the hydro. They're the same modules. So if you go through and did one of the programs, if you did massage and then you wanted to go over and do hydrotherapy down the track, you cannot do them at the same time. You need to complete one. And then if you wanted to do the other one, you don't do all those same modules. You just pay a part payment, and you just do the specific modules for the second course that you've chosen. So we have that assessment, common pathologies requiring massage. Massage techniques obviously is a large topic in the massage course. Then massage for health and well-being, for the sporting dog, for specific pathologies, for older pets, a really important patient group, working safely in canine remedial massage, so we don't get, we look after our bodies, we don't get injured, don't get bitten. Development and progression of treatment plans, so how we're going to, what we're going to do next time, how many times we think we're going to treat the dog for. Working as a mobile massage therapist, working as part of a multidisciplinary team, business development and massage facility centre design if you were choosing to set up your own clinic. So this is the same as the hydrotherapy. I've just put the different dates. So the 4-day intensive is October 28 to 31. Oh, and that's November, sorry, that date to be confirmed for the massage teleconference. So the study load, this really varies. So what it varies on depends on your studying technique. So some people watch a lecture, complete their multiple choice questions for their assignment, and they're done. Other people like to write study notes as they go along to help themselves learn. Some people come in already with some anatomy background, so they might be a bit quicker at going through. So I would say it's sort of 4 to 6 hours per week. You do have flexibility in when you do that. So the modules are released fortnightly. So if you got behind in a couple of modules, you definitely can catch up. We just release them fortnightly to try and keep everyone at the same sort of level, and the Q&As at the same level. But as long as you finished all the assignments prior to the workshop, you must attend all of those, all the modules and the assignments before you come to the workshop, then you would be okay. There's a multiple choice question assignment with each module apart from. There's one assignment that's a large anatomy assignment that you have to do some thinking other than multiple choice questions. And again, you know, that sort of career opportunities is a question that comes up. What career opportunities are out there? They're definitely on the rise. There's not enough therapists out there, and there's more and more opportunities for us to work, you know, in vet clinics. I'll talk to you about some of our students and graduates and what they've done in some slides further along. So if you're still here, thank you if you're still here, but if you're still here, then you're likely to know that it's for you, or you're really thinking, I would love to do this. Maybe you're frustrated in your current job, you love a fulfilling career, you don't know how to make the transition, maybe you already work with dogs, but you want to expand your current career. Perhaps you don't know which course to choose. So you know, you might have some questions still around that. Hydrotherapy or massage, you know, how do we choose? So hydrotherapy, you generally are going to either work for someone else. So lots of vets are putting in hydro facilities and they're looking for people to work in there. The vets don't want to deliver the hydrotherapy. They want a hydrotherapist to do that. Or you're going to have to start your own business. You're going to need a facility and an underwater treadmill. It's not a small expense. An underwater treadmill, you're in the ballpark. There's all different ones between $35,000 to $75,000 for an underwater treadmill. To put in a pool, it's not very easy to put in a prefabricated fiberglass pool into a facility and have it suit dogs. You usually need to have something purpose-built. You'd be the same, up around $50,000. So hydrotherapy is a big undertaking. Heaps of people have done it, lots of centres popping up around the country, so it's definitely doable. We have a great manufacturer in Australia I can connect you with that, you know, gives good service, follow up. It's my favourite hydrotherapy unit in the world, the Hydroco one. And hydro really transforms rehabilitation. So if you wanting to work in that rehabilitation sector and help dogs after injury or surgery, definitely the hydrotherapy. And there's a real, you know, lack of this accessible for owners. They're often, you know, traveling a long distance. They're not just everywhere, so we still need more of those. For massage, options are then working for someone else or working within a vet clinic, I would say. So several of the graduates have approached their regular vet and when they've been going through the course and talked to them about offering a massage service within the vet clinic. And that's doing well within a grooming clinic, within doggy daycare. So when I say working for someone else, you might be within someone else's existing business where there's already dog traffic, or starting your own business. There's people out there seeing sporting dogs, people seeing, you know, working dogs, working in rural area, looking after working dogs. You might just be, you know, seeing dogs for rehabilitation, so looking after their bodies but doing a mobile service. You could start up a clinic in your own home. There's lots of options there. There's less equipment that's needed to set up for massage. So if cost was an issue of setting up a hydro facility for you, then you might choose a massage course. So People often ask, which one should I do first? It depends where you're wanting to work and where you currently are. But I think, yeah, lots of people, once they finish one, if you work in hydrotherapy, and delivering hydrotherapy, then you quickly see there's other things that the dogs need. If you work in massage, you can see there's other things the dogs would benefit from, like the hydrotherapy. And you might do both of those and deliver them, or you might team up with someone else, someone else out of the program, and set up a clinic together, or cross-refer between. That's definitely happening as well. So if there's one thing to take away, really, is there is a real lack of canine therapy services available for pet owners, and that includes us. So that means if our dogs get injured, they're older or frail, then we need our dogs to be able to access these services. A lot more vets, a lot more specialists, but the rehab services are still really lacking. So the dogs need you, they need you to make a decision. Okay, so are you ready to take the next step? So here's some examples. This is Alison. Alison works for us at Dogs in Motion. So she was a client of ours. We helped look after her little doggy, lengthened her life right up until she lived at a very old age. We supported Alison with her dog's health, and because of that, she wanted to transfer over into helping dogs the best way that she could. So she went through the hydro program. She came from an admin background, so no prior study in the industry, no anatomy. She wasn't a vet nurse, and she now manages the Dogs in Motion clinic, manages the hydro service. She's come a huge way, and she's super, super awesome. So we're really happy to have had Alison come through the program. Andrea, she's one of our, she came through our first intake, and she's recently set up Fido Hydro in Ballarat. So she came from a non-dog job as well, but had a deep desire to help animals. She completed her qualification, and she set up this first clinic in Ballarat, which is fantastic, and she's going great guns. That's only in the last part of last year, and she's really going along well. She's fantastic. Kelly owns a cattery business, and she installed hydrotherapy in there, and she's offering additional services for pets in her region. She's doing fantastically. I saw her on the socials this morning. So she's, again, same thing, deep desire to help animals, offering an additional service because she saw a need there. So she's doing super. So some decision time. You're either going to stay in the same place and the dogs are not helped. Decision number one. Decision number two, you're 100% committed to a career that you love and dogs living the longest, happiest, healthiest life possible. So I hope you take decision number two. Here's what you get. You have lifetime access to online lectures and any of the upgrades. We're doing another big upgrade this year. Things will change around in there, so everyone will come across into that one program. You can have lifetime access to all your information. 4-day intensive workshop, 1-day live virtual teleconference, so you can do that from home. You don't have to travel for that, so you only have to travel once to Melbourne. The cost, so it costs $4,150 that you pay as a single one-off payment, or if you want to split your payments into monthly payments, then you can pay 7 monthly payments of $635. You can go to caninehealthacademy.com and you'll find all the links to join up there. When I finish here, I'll put the link over in the chat box. That's the live link. So you've got the live link, but our course website, caninehealthacademy.com, you can just head directly over into the course portal and sign up there. So if you start the program and you're not satisfied, you show me that you've done some work and you're not happy, I'll gladly give you a refund within 30 days. You just have to email us at support@caninehealthacademy.com. So you've got a guarantee there if you're not happy. So you've either got, when you go into the course payment page, you just have to choose your payment, whichever one suits you, and it will take you across and you just enter in your details. Then it will give you a login to the course platform. So if you're in the hydrotherapy one, you log into a platform and all your bits and pieces are kept in there, remembering that the modules are not released yet. So you'll get some welcome, some info about student handbook, overview of assignments and those sorts of things, but all the information will then be rolled out. So every 2 weeks, more information is added onto that platform, and then you have lifelong access to it. So same for massage. And if you are enrolling in the massage as the second one, you've already done hydro, then you'll have 2 of those within your course portal. So if you've got some questions, voices in your head, keeping you stuck, causing you to not take action, think about, you know, what's the consequence of no action? Where are you going to be in a year? Are you going to come back and watch the webinar again next year? I know I have people that watch every year that still haven't taken action yet, out of fear. Usually it is for us, but I guarantee you I will support you through that. We've brought so many people through these programs, and you can absolutely do it if you have the desire to go out there and make a difference. Remember, think, where are you now and where could you be? You know, do you want to be up at the top there of that pyramid, you know, which is definitely where I am, and super happy to be there. Need to give yourself permission. Let go of any limiting beliefs that you couldn't do it, that are keeping you small. You need to believe in yourself. That's the first step. And the dogs need you to do it. It's absolutely achievable, or we wouldn't have all these people, you know, going through and going out and helping dogs. Just a reminder, enrolments close March the 14th, and we commence on the 16th of March. So we've got about a week now. And I'm just going to go through some of the common questions that people bring up. So just to get them out there, these are the questions that people commonly put in, and hopefully then I can answer any extra ones that you have at the end if I haven't answered already. So a common comment is, it's too hard for me. I haven't studied anatomy. And so many people come through our program that have not studied anatomy before. It's completely fine. You don't have to rote learn it. It's taught in ways where, you know, the concepts build on concepts. You create this fantastic resource for yourself to be able to use long term for anatomy. That's one of the assignments. You know, there's no prerequisites. We have people that, I think I mentioned before, might not have finished, you know, high school education, haven't studied for 30 years. English is their second language. You know, they've all been able to get through. So don't be concerned about the anatomy. It's not easy, not going to kid you. It's not easy, but you absolutely can do it. You don't have to have had a certain level of education to go through. Another one is, I don't have any experience starting my own business. So a reminder that you don't have to start your own business. There's so many more opportunities to go and work with someone, alongside someone else, but also I will support you to do that. It's not difficult. There's some steps that you can follow. I offer mentoring afterwards, a mentorship program for people that really want to kickstart their business. There's all sorts of different ways, so you're not just left to your own devices. There's definitely things that you can do, but you don't have to start your own business if you're not wanting to do that. I have to take a pay cut. So you remember that you're not having to do this full time. You might do it as your side job. If you are working in a job that pays you a great salary and you think that this is going to be something that where I have to take a pay cut, maybe it is. So this is the choice for, do you want to do something that you love, or, you know, are you just driven by money? I could tell you, you can definitely have a successful career. You can be financially supported, and it is a lucrative career if you work into marketing yourself and if you deliver great service. So you don't have to take a pay cut initially if you did it alongside. The programs are designed so that it can be done alongside your full-time job. Plenty of people start doing treatment, you know, out of hours. We have one of our ladies down in Tasmania that had a full-time job, set up her hydrotherapy unit on her property, and she did that in the evenings and the weekends until she could transfer across. And now she doesn't have her previous day job anymore. She just works delivering hydrotherapy and Bowen therapy in her clinic. So you can make it successful, absolutely. I can't afford it. right now, so again, it's designed to be done alongside your current job. And if we broke it down into that, what would it cost you across the week? It would cost you $80 a week across the year, which is, you know, the cost of, you know, massage, treatment, assisted hydrotherapy. So one consult per week to pay it off. So if it's not for you right now, might not be for you right now, might be down the track, but we have ways to make it more affordable. Then you still have to think, you know, what are you losing if you don't do it now? What happens to, you know, what are you going to do long term? You're still going to be in the same position a year, you know, 2 years from now. I have to ask my spouse, and this is fantastic. It's important that you make any big decisions together, and I would hope that your spouse would be happy that if in a, you know, a year from now you had your dream career and you were doing what you know, inspired you to go out and help more animals. So definitely, if you need to have the discussion, then I honour that and think it's a really good thing that you do. It's a big decision, and making that together is important. A few more of our people here. So this is Manesha. So she came from a human healthcare background. She was a midwife and nurse. She transitioned to hydrotherapy and massage, so she's dual qualified. And after rehabilitating her own dog, her little sausage dog that had a spinal surgery and is similar to my sausage, he wasn't going to walk, and seeing the benefits of getting him through with hydrotherapy, then, you know, as an animal lover, she's dedicated to being able to offer those services. She now runs her own massage and energy healing business as well. So she's done super good, out doing super good things. Sue changed her career from vet nursing, and she set up her own business as a canine remedial massage therapist, and she offers this in vet clinics and in her home. So she's doing super great work and changed out of vet nursing. So really now will be, if you're on the fence, if you have any questions I haven't answered, then now's the time to pop them over into the Q&A box. I'm going to go over there in just a sec. I'll turn off the PowerPoint presentation. I can go in and have a look at the questions. Just a reminder of the payment, so you know how much it costs. Once I go out of the PowerPoint, I'll pop that link in there actively for you. Enrollment closes March the 14th, and the course commences on March the 16th. So a week from Monday, then we're going to be starting. All right, let me stop sharing. So this is the active link if you need. I've just popped in there, and I'm just opening up the Q&A. Okay, Jody, I'm just going to write a note in there, because definitely, so Jody's asked, is there anyone in Western Australia enrolled that I could hook up with? Yeah, if you can answer, Jody, if you can let me know if it's hydrotherapy or massage, because we have people over there in both, but I can hook you up with someone to speak to. And that's a really good question. People do ask that, can we speak to someone that's already gone through and get their opinion? And I love that, you know, it's an independent opinion. People can, you know, tell you their experience and help you make a decision. Okay. Caitlin said, do the treadmills fit giant breeds like Danes and Neos? Did a bit of research on the treadmills. They seem to allow 27 inches of water, but a lot of Danes are taller. Can you still provide for them, or do you need a pool set up? Have giant breed dogs? Really good question. So Caitlin, not all the underwater treadmills that are out there that are sold will fit the giant breed dogs. So the Hydroco brand that I use, he makes 2 treadmills. He makes a smaller one, which is really only to suit people from a budget point of view. I would say if you were going to install an underwater treadmill, I would only put the big one in. So it's got the longer belt, can go faster speeds. So absolutely, we can put a Great Dane in and we can get enough water. We have a 85 kilo Great Dane in ours. So, you know, he's a really big boy. He's not overweight. He's really tall and really long. So absolutely, we can cater for those. So that's an important question, and it is important to look at. If you contacted Brian from Hydroco, then he will be able to have all those discussions with you as well. He's quite happy to do that. Is it possible to get a local mentor? Jody's asking. So what we're looking at doing, Jody, is putting in, now that there's more people, so as more people go through, then there's bigger groups of people, is to put in people that are like support coaches, so people that have gone through the program and can help to give you feedback. And anything that people ask, like anything that they're requesting, I'm always wanting to fulfill that. So we can set you up with people when you're in Western Australia. We've got, particularly in hydrotherapy, we've got a good following of people that would be able to help you there, and I'm sure they'd be happy to mentor you. So same thing, and now I can see now, Jodie, that it's hydro. So if you send us a message on Facebook, that might be the easiest, or email, at info@caninehealthacademy.com, then I can connect you through with any of those members. Does pet insurance generally cover rehab, thereby making rehab more accessible? So Pet Plan, which is one of the most popular insurers in the country, so they cover rehabilitation, yes, but all the others have the same underwriter and they do not cover rehabilitation. Really good question. Really disappointing in Australia. In Europe, you're in the UK, then it's covered everywhere, but it's not in Australia. So it is an important question. It's not a barrier to entry for the owners coming. It's not my experience. It's just a frustration for them. Is a full intensive course available for those not with a full-time job? So we roll out the modules, Penelope, just to make sure that people are all following along at the same period of time. So we don't have a full intensive course available, I'm sorry. What is the pay associated with a canine hydrotherapist? So if you ran your own business, so this is how you could work out what you would earn, and I'll talk to you about sort of industry rates if you worked for someone. So if you ran your own business, we charge for our underwater treadmill sessions $75. It varies depending on whether dogs need assistance, and if they're coming multiple visits per week, then it goes down. They come for less, but we would see 2 of those within an hour. So if we're turning over $150 per hour, the running costs of the treadmill and not staffing, the running costs of the treadmill are minimal. So if you were doing your own hydrotherapy business and you worked 5 days a week and you were relatively full, you'd be somewhere between about $70,000 and $80,000 a year if it's your own business. If you're paying someone, then the rate of pay is the veterinary industry rate of pay. You might be somewhere between $25 and $30 an hour, depending on who employed you. It'd be around that sort of vet nurse industry gauge. Keen to understand how physical canine massage is on the body. Good question. I have old knee problems, trying to choose between hydro and massage. So that's a good question. I treat on the floor because that's my preference, because the dogs often don't just sit there and sit still. They move around, they want to get up. Sometimes they do. They lie on the floor, particularly once they've had regular treatments, and they lie there because they come in and lie down on the bed waiting. But I have this big room here with rubber matting across the floor, and a bed, but the dogs can move around wherever they want to. So if you had knee issues, then massage would be tricky if you treated on the floor, and you could think about treating up on a table where you could get a wheelie stool in underneath. And for a lot of dogs, they would be completely fine lying on the table. It's the getting them up on there. So anything that's higher, it's like going into the vet clinic. Then if you have to get your dog up on the examination table, sometimes the dogs are nervous, which is why we do the treating down on the floor. So it's like human massage or human physio. They're physical jobs, both of them. Hydrotherapy and massage are both physical jobs. So that is important for yourself. Is the course vet approved? It's not vet approved. It's accredited by the Australian Canine Rehab Association. How many therapists come through qualified per year? Trying to gauge the competition. So we have 2 different things that are going on here with how many people come through. Some people do the course, like the massage course, Some people do that course for their own dogs. So they complete the course, but they don't go out and work. They've done it so they can help their own dogs. People that have breed dogs have a large number of dogs. So the competition that goes out there, we have underwater treadmills in Melbourne. You know, there's Port Melbourne, Garden Vale, us in Hyatt, Somerville. One's opened in Baldwin, and none of those people are graduates out of our program. So all the people that have been graduates out of our program have been outside of Melbourne. So they're you know, around the country, overseas, or rural. There's another one opening in Geelong. Places where there hasn't already been access if you're looking for hydrotherapy. And for massage, there's at least half a dozen per year that would come out and start their own business, I would say, for massage in Melbourne. How many hours hydrotherapy establishment do you need to complete as part of the course? So you need to complete case studies. So you need to complete 10 cases. So depending on the facility that you're in, that will vary in the number of hours. But to complete, you have to have done 10 cases on hydrotherapy. And for massage, you need to complete 8 cases and see them on 2 occasions, different style of treatment. How many clinics do I have? I have 2 clinics. I cannot currently see any canine hydrotherapist jobs. Where are common websites to look for jobs? Do you employ students? So you'll be quite right. There won't be a whole list of canine hydrotherapists out there because there aren't a whole list of vets with underwater treadmills with nobody working in them. So there's places where vets advertise for their for veterinary positions. They could be in there, and otherwise you would still search the same as you do when you're looking for any other job. So you're not going to find a listing for canine hydrotherapists. You won't find a listing for canine masseurs. You won't find a listing for canine physiotherapists. There's not enough of that. That industry is not big enough. So when you can communicating within our community, then we have people that post their jobs within our community. So other clinics around the country post jobs for hydrotherapists within our Facebook community. So unless you're a member of that, then you don't get to see those, because if you're not qualified, then they're not going to post out there for anyone. We don't have an issue with employing students. We don't have any open positions at the moment though. Overall for both, I like to follow with. Doing the massage course, wanting to get an overall for both. If you're talking about the cost, Jody, if you've completed one at the 4,150, the second course, doing the second one is 2,750, but you have to do it down the track. You'd have to go in with the next intake, which would be later on in the year, or 2021. I might not offer another intake this year. Pool versus treadmill. Do you know where I could find out more info on the studies between pool versus treadmill effectiveness? Caitlin, so if you have access to, it depends if you're already in the industry or not, if you have access to any of the portals where we can search for journal articles. Otherwise, PubMed, you could look in there because you're looking for scientific articles, and they're within the veterinary literature, not the human literature. So if you search for scholarly articles for between swimming and underwater treadmill, you would need to make sure that you had a canine, swimming, underwater treadmill. If you had those search terms, that would help you. So PubMed, otherwise you need to be already within an industry body, like a university body, where you can go in and search all those journal articles. It's not easy. Caitlin, if you did the same thing, if you emailed to info@caninehealthacademy.com, then I can send you a list of any of the studies that I have. Is there an insurance company that I recommend? So when you're doing case studies, then you're insured under the Academy insurance. So once you've finished and you graduated, then we have organised insurance through Insurance House. So we had a meeting with them, and before we started these programs in 2017, so we know that Insurance House will insure our graduates, so we can connect you with them. That's no problem at all. But while you're a student and you're completing your case studies, you're covered under the Academy Insurance. Do I teach you how to handle dogs that hate water? If I'm working on my own with a large breed dog that's refusing to go in the treadmill / pool, I couldn't complete the course. So we teach you about handling of dogs, and we show you with the hydrotherapy the different techniques, and we definitely expect you not to do the manual handling on your own. So if there was a dog that was not easy to handle, the owner is expected to help you. I am not one that encourages dogs to be dropped off and left with the hydrotherapist for therapy. I don't agree with that. I like the owner to be present. I think it's much better for the therapy of the dog, but also there's an element of manual handling for some of these dogs, and we make sure that the owners help us with that. So we teach you the principles, but an animal's an animal. So you could get an animal that is difficult to handle, that in my clinics anyway, would be that we don't continue to go down that route with that dog. They're going to need to go and do some training with that dog if it's difficult to handle, if it hates water. And if it really hated water, then I would question whether hydrotherapy was the best form of treatment for the dog. So we'd have to take all those factors into consideration, and that happens in our assessment. Like, so we go through a thorough assessment and work out what's going to be the best thing for this dog. It's a good question. So that's why we do cases within the workshop. So we go through and we see what happens, how do we assist these dogs, what type of aids and suction cups and harnesses and things do we have, how do we encourage them, like getting a horse on a float, same sort of thing. Sometimes they're scared, you're quite right. In general terms, underwater treadmill is much less scary for them than immersing them in a pool. That's really frightening for some dogs, and so again, we start them with underwater treadmill if we had the opportunity to. Putting a dog that was a large breed dog into the pool, if it was scared, shouldn't be doing that on your own, definitely. And I don't want it to be scared. We want to try and do some training. So we have in the past, got a dog trainer to come in and help us, at the owner's cost. They've agreed to do that to help with the training. Once completed, can we get your logo? So you get the Australian Canine Rehab Association logo. If you join, you can join as a student member. And then when you finish, then we send an email that will tell you you're eligible for practitioner status, and you get a certificate that you can display in your place of business, on your website, and you can download the logo, so you can use ACRA practitioner. So absolutely, you can do that. You can put that on your shirts for sure. How many years have you been producing graduates? I started at the end of 2017, so this is the 6th intake. Is it possible to visit one of your clinics before making a decision about the course, Kate? Yeah, you need to contact the same thing. If you contact the info@caninehealthacademy.com, then I can give you the details. You have to make an appointment to do it, because we're a private business. So there's dogs coming in all the time. We need to make sure, it's appropriate, that the owner's happy to have someone just come in, but certainly can. I only have underwater treadmill in one clinic. So if you're looking for seeing the underwater treadmill, you definitely can. If you came in to watch me practice, then I don't usually have people come in and just watch me do massage. We have people interested in doing that all the time, like right throughout our whole career. We charge a fee for shadowing, is what we call people wanting to come and see, what it's like. You think of, if you wanted to go and watch someone have a massage in a private business, you wouldn't be able to do that. You'd have to come through some sort of program. And I get that people are wanting to see how does it function. You can certainly come into the clinic and have a look. And if you're wanting to see an animal be treated, we need to make a time to do that, so it's appropriate for the client. If you set up for mobile, what sort of prices would you charge? So it's a good question. So you're usually going to treat between 45 and an hour, something like that. If you had a little wee dog, you might be charging, you might be just doing a half-hour treatment. And if you're doing mobile, then you've got your travel costs. So then there's all sorts of different things in there about working out, do you only operate in a 20-kilometre zone, or do you try and get dogs, you know, in this area on Thursdays? Different bits and pieces you would need to think about. You would need to incorporate a travel fee for dogs that were, you know, outside of a certain radius there. So I would have the same massage fee for whether they were in my clinic or house and mobile, but I would have a travelling fee, you know, within a kilometre radius. And so for an hour-long massage, most massage therapists are charging sort of $80 to $90. Some are only $60, so it's completely up to you. And then it scales down from there for 45 minutes and 30. So that would be about the norm. And you might say if it's within a 10 or 15 minute drive from my home, I'm not going to charge travel, or you might charge, you know, an extra $5 on there. So it'd be completely up to you. All right, so I don't have any more questions. If you've got any more questions, then please pop them in, or you can pop it over into the chat. I'm really grateful for the people that were able to stay on to the end, and anybody that's watching in the replay. If you have any other questions, please don't hesitate. You can send them through to us at info@caninehealthacademy.com. I hope to see the people that have already enrolled. Congratulations. I can't wait to see you in the program. And any of you that are thinking about coming on board, or if you do come on board, we'd love to have you join us so that we can help more dogs live the longest, happiest, healthiest life possible. Thanks for joining me.